Today we're going to be doing watercolor flower practice once again. This is Rebecca, and this is our daily creative practice. It is day 51. Yesterday was a big milestone for their 50th video this year on the 50th day, and today we're moving into 51. So I'm really excited about that, and I just want to practice some flowers today, and Thursday may become our watercolor day. I'm trying to work out a little schedule for us so we know what we're doing on each day. So anyway, let's just dive in and see what we're going to do today. I'm just going to take my little eyedropper here. And what colors do I want to get into? I think I'm going to challenge myself. As you see, I use a lot down to here. But when we start getting into the browns and the darker colors, I rarely use it. So I think today we're going to get into there. So I'm just going to drop some water in these browns. Brown has always been my least favorite color. For whatever reason, I just don't like browns much. So, but I'm going to challenge myself today. That's part of the challenge today. And I am going to be using some cold press watercolor paper. The cold press is smoother than the hot press, and I usually prefer the hot press because I love the texture, but today I'm going to see a little bit smoother look and see what happens when I do that. So let me get in here, and I put a few drops of water in the palette first, which may or may not have been a good idea. Not really sure, because watercolors are a little new for me, and that's more like a yellow ochre. So I'm glad I kind of found that color, because that's one of my favorite colors to use. This looks more like a burnt sienna. And that's a nice little medium brown. I'm loving that ochre. And I always, when I did a lot of faces and portraits, I kind of always, well, even my murals, I always kind of painted a burnt sienna color on the background first. That's the way I learned with my European masters that I took my training with. That's what they did, and it gives this nice warm glow to all the murals and all the things I used to do. So let me kind of get this out of the way and try these three colors. I hope we're on camera. All right, so I'm going to start with my lightest, and actually I am going to just make a wet little puddle. It's not quite round. It's more, think of a tulip shape, I guess. Let me get my cloth. I'm going to start with my lightest color and just come in here and drop some in and around. Clean my brush. And I'm going to come in and drop some of that medium brown in. And you see how that is, hopefully you can see how that is mixing in with the water and kind of doing its own thing. Now you can see where I put my water in that little tulip shape. So I'm going to come in and just put some of that sienna on the bottom and kind of let it do its own thing. That's the cool thing about watercolor, is that they will move, and they move beautifully. So that's kind of a nice tulip shape. I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and I'm going to come over here and Didn't clean my brush out too well, but I'm going to make a smaller little tulip shape there. And come in and drop some of my lighter color in. And maybe I'll just mix some of these and see what we get by mixing. Kind of losing my brown there. Let me get some more back. And get a little more in there. And see what color we got now. And just come in and lay that down sideways and drop a few little drops in. And then come in and put some of the red in. Come back over here. And get some interesting shapes in there. And this is all going to work out, hopefully. Hopefully. Sorry, I'm reaching across the screen here. Kind of discombobulated myself by moving that over there. My desk needs a really good clean once again. A really good clean. Okay, so let's just come down here. And I didn't drop water on this time, so you see how much different that reacted this time by not putting the water down first. It just kind of stays in one place, but now this will drop in and move because I added those colors. So starting wet on wet and wet on dry. This is a little wet on dry right here. And you can see how much different that kind of looks. And this one, the first one we did, look how beautifully. We just kind of left it alone and it kind of made a really pretty color in there. And again, it's a little hard for me to use these colors. So I went ahead and wet that again. And kind of letting the water do its little thing. Add just a hair back in there. And I think I want to get some darker colors. Let's try this one. That's like a raw sienna color. And Messy Me is getting drops, but I kind of like the drops, so let's come in here and see what this dark does. Just going to put a couple of little drops here and there. And see what happens to that. With some darkness down at the bottom. Just add a hair of water in there. And let that go. Add some more red in here. And I want to try something. I wish I'd brought some salt in. I didn't bring any salt, but I'm going to come in here with just a little cloth and kind of dab at it. Don't want to dab too much because I don't want to lose what's happening, but I want to see what happens when you dab at it with a textured cloth. This one I kind of want to leave alone. But that did give some nice look to these. Remember, it's all about experimenting and finding what you like and your style and your flair. Okay, so I am going to stop with those right now. I'm going to come in and get a little bit of green. Ooh, that's not a very cool green for leaves. I'm going to put a little bit of brown in there to get that dulled a little bit. A little duller green. And of course, if you really want to turn this green to a brown color, you would put the sienna in there. And that would make it totally neutral because those are complements. Red and green mixed together would be very, very brown. That's how you get brown. When people say mud, I created mud, it's usually because you've put two of the complementary colors on them. So I'm just going to come in very lightly. Whoops. And put in some leaf shapes by just putting my brush down and picking it up. I'm going to paint one over here. Just leave it at that. Make a bigger roundness over here. Just kind of drawing with my brush. This kind of tiny leaf there. And maybe come back with that funky green. And just give some variation in there. Let that kind of travel. And I think we're good. Let me put this over to the side. And this, I probably didn't tell you, it is a number 6 round watercolor brush that I was using today. And I'm going to go ahead and pat these because I want to come in here with my pen and kind of draw around there. Yeah, that's much better. It's a lot less fine, but it is kind of giving me what I want right now. So I just kind of want to draw around those. Quickly. I don't want to overthink it. I want it to be very loose, which it is. Okay, that's kind of where I was wanting to go. I wish I would have had a much smaller tipped pen, finer tip. I should have gotten that out, but I want right now to come in and just add a little bit of a different hue. You know, I can't stay with these browns. Just going to come in with a little bit of a reddish color. And add some fun. And even if we get outside the lines, we're okay. And it's funny how these change when they dry. All right, I think I'm going to maybe just put a little hair more red in there. Let those do their magic. And then we are going to trim them out, as they are going to go in our book here. And see how nice that looks? I'm going to have this little bouquet here. Let me trim that up a little bit. I may come in. I'm going to round this in there. Let me get my glue paper. Oops. And that black wasn't really permanent. Ooh, my goodness. What have we done? And maybe we will come in with one of our pockets that we've made and put a little flower in it. Let's come up and cut this one out. These are really fun to make and put in pockets. That is a really, really fun idea. Don't you love that? That little cute thing. And there's some room on the back to do some journaling if you like, or to say I love you. But I think that is pretty cute. But that reminds us today what we did with our sketches. And darnation, I wish I hadn't used that black pen. It made a mess in the middle. But anyway, that's me. Mess maker. Mess maker, mess maker. Make a little bouquet there. Put them in your pockets. Let's see if we can't put one over in here. That kind of looks pretty cool today, doesn't it, guys? Okay, so I think I'm going to stop for now. And I encourage you to get into your creative space, set a timer for 20 minutes, see how much trouble you can get into. Today we did a few little watercolors, and I'm just loving them. I am loving what happens, even when we started with that brown tone that I didn't so love. So that is a challenge to yourself, is to sometimes get into your studio and use colors that you don't really like or don't think you like, and see what happens with those. Anyway, this is Rebecca. Get into your contagious creativity and pass it on. And may joy be with you all.